Police detained the suspect for the murder of Dr. Colin Roach. Former president believes for Guyana and Suriname to have improved bilateral relations, Suriname should desist from threatening to use force. A friendship turned deadly on Thursday night. In the region, ICC to probe Venezuela over alleged crimes against humanity, and internationally, UN report 75% of emerging infectious diseases are zoonotic. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Updates. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. Crime Chief Wanda Blanham today confirmed the identity of the prime suspect in the brutal killing of 49-year-old Dr. Colin Roach, whose lifeless body was found in his office at Duke Street, Kingston on Tuesday. The suspect, 25-year-old Oliver Jr. Franklin, was apprehended in quarantine Berbice. The man was arrested while attempting to flee to neighboring Suriname. On Thursday, police discovered Roach's car abandoned on the west bank of the Marara without the license plate. The car was last seen being driven away from the crime scene on the night of the incident. Roach's lifeless body was discovered with blunt force trauma to the head by two employees who lived in the upper flat. Those employees were arrested and are still in police custody assisting with the investigations. A friendship turned deadly on Thursday night when a fight broke out at Pepper Hill, Mocha, East Coast, Demerara on November 4th. Dead is 28-year-old Paul Braffett of Barnwell North, Mocha, East Bank, Demerara. According to reports, Braffett and the suspect, a 31-year-old man, knew each other and were friends until a misunderstanding in September of 2020. Enquiries disclosed that around 11:30 p.m. they were both hanging at Arcade Street when they encountered each other and a heated argument erupted, which resulted in both of them brandishing knives and stabbing each other several times across their bodies. As Braffett was fleeing the scene, he fell unconscious on the western side of the road. When the police arrived, they found the victim with several stab wounds. The man was taken to the Diamond Diagnostic Center and was pronounced dead. The body is at the Memorial Gardens Funeral Home awaiting a post-mortem examination. The injured suspect reported the incident to the Mocha Police Outpost. He was taken to the Diamond Diagnostic Center for medical treatment. He is currently in police custody. A 22-year-old man tragically lost his life after a metal lift fell on him at F&R Supermarket at Freedom Hope on the west coast of Demerara on Tuesday. Dead is 22-year-old Sudesh Charan, a laborer of Westminster, West Bank, Demerara. Inquiries disclosed that around 4:30 p.m., Charan was walking under a metal lift to go into the supermarket when it fell from the upper flat and pinned him to the ground of the lower flat. As a result, workers rushed to his assistance and used a plank of wood and a jack to raise the metal lift. They eventually managed to free Charan, but he was unresponsive and had a severe wound to the top of his head. The police were summoned and Charan was taken to the West Demerara Regional Hospital where he was seen and examined by a doctor on duty and pronounced dead. The body is at the Ezekiel's funeral parlor awaiting a post-mortem examination. Investigations are in progress. Stick around after the break. Former President David Granger believes for Guyana and Suriname to have improved bilateral relations, Suriname should desist from threatening to use force, and how you can make a big difference this Christmas season.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
For decades, milk has remained the same, until now. Introducing the Great Dairy Full Cream Milk from Alabama Trading. Enriched with vitamins A to D and calcium to promote healthy teeth, strong bones, and vitality. Great Dairy Milk is delicious and fortified to encourage healthy cell growth within the body. No wonder it's the #1 brand of milk produced in Ireland. Now available nationwide in 400-gram packages at leading supermarkets and wholesale vendors. Distributed by Alabama Trading.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
At John Lewis Styles, we carry only first quality men's and women's clothing, footwear, and accessories. As authorized dealers, our items come directly from the manufacturing brands and are available in all sizes and colors. What we sell was never on display in another store. It's time you know the truth about what you buy. Come visit us on Waterloo Street. John Lewis Styles, simply different.
Welcome back. Former Guyana President David Granger noted on his weekly television show, The Public Interest, that for Guyana and Suriname's bilateral relations to improve, Suriname should desist from threatening to use force, particularly concerning territorial claims to the New River Triangle. The New River Triangle is a forested territory roughly the size of Jamaica in the upper East Berbice Quarantine region that Guyana and Suriname have contested since 1840. Granger complimented the President of Guyana and Suriname numerous visits during the last several months, but he criticized the lack of progress on the territory dispute, which has hampered relations between the two countries for decades.
Our two presidents have exchanged visits over the last 14 months. Two new presidents, and the visits are welcome, but the visits markedly avoided dealing with the elephant in the room, the question of the New River and the movement towards a resolution of that problem. As you know, the Borders Commission was established 35 years ago, but it does not function. It does not function because it is meant to deal with the very problem which in itself is intractable.
According to Granger, the lack of economic expansion between the two countries' boundaries is due to the unresolved territorial claim in the New River Triangle, a belief that is very essential to some leaders in Suriname.
Can we work with Suriname as a trusted partner for this great development agenda? Everyone speaks about petroleum, everyone speaks about the shared use of resources, everyone speaks about trade and commerce and technology, but I tell you, my friends, over the last 50 years, everything, even university collaboration, functional cooperation, everything comes to a halt when some Surinamese bureaucrat or minister raises this question about Tigray. And sometimes communiques have been drafted, agreements have been drafted, but they've never been signed, they've never been operationalized because of the Tigray question. But this case must not be allowed either to obstruct the development between the two countries, nor must it be used as a lever by Suriname to try to pressure Guyana into making agreements which are not in our interest.
Mr. Granger urged the Surinamese government to explicitly reject the use of force against Guyana's sovereignty over the New River District if ties between the two countries were to improve. The Guyana Police Force is currently investigating the illegal landing of a 6-seater aircraft at the Mahdia airstrip on November 4th. According to a police report, around 6 p.m., ranks of Mahdia Police Station observed an aircraft circling the Mahdia airstrip in an attempt to land. A party of policemen immediately went to the airstrip and found a 6-seater Piper Air Blue red and white aircraft on the ground in front of the Trans-Guyana hangar. Two suspected foreigners were standing in front of the said aircraft, speaking to the security at the ramp. When confronted by the police, one of the men spoke in English saying, quote, "We are lost. We came from Venezuela and we are going to look for gold." End of quote. The men were identified as 32-year-old pilot Juan Caicedo of Colombia and 48-year-old pilot businessman Gustavo Gomez of Venezuela. A search of the men on the plane found nothing illegal. The items found on the plane were lodged and the aircraft is currently under guard, while both men were arrested and placed into police custody pending investigations. The holidays are quickly approaching, and while not everyone is as privileged to have an ideal Christmas celebration, one organization on the west coast of the Demerara is hoping to remedy that with your help. The Generous Heart Foundation is a charitable organization from the west coast of the Demerara that has been making a difference in the lives of the less fortunate since the start of the pandemic.
The Generous Heart, basically we're a small group from the west side, on the west side, and we have been involved in a lot of charitable work, such as we go out to the communities, we feed kids, we share toys, book clothing, and hampers, stuff like that. We even try to take care of our elderly couple or single parent, and it's a wide variety. We're just generous, reaching out to hearts, hoping to touch hearts.
The foundation was birthed in 2019 by 4 individuals who saw the need to reach out and help persons in their communities that were in desperate need of assistance.
It was birthed through COVID in 2019 when I was working at Parika NDC, and I stumbled upon the late Auntie Sita, and from there on I saw how it is, how people are living actually. I was doing some work for our chairman in the community, and I saw how people were living, including Auntie Sita, and I know I have to make a difference. Coming from a poor background, I grew up very poor but humble, and I wanted to make a difference by starting somewhere. So what I did is I went and I saw her, and it wasn't something nice, and I couldn't sleep. So the very next day, I have to put in a lot of thought and thinking. I made a Facebook post because I could recall it said in the Bible, "Ask and shall be given." So I just said, "Man, look, let me throw it out there. Let me ask the public for help," because I couldn't do it on my own, and the outpour of help and response was tremendous. It was really, really nice, and we were able to, along with Comfort Sleep, Mr. Dennis Charon, we were able to construct a home for our late Auntie Sita, in which members of the public, they came and they helped also. Apart from Auntie Sita, we had another elderly couple from Salem, I think, back then. We constructed a home for them also. We did stairs and
While the Generous Heart Foundation reaches out to persons in need all year round, there is also an annual event in December where they set aside a day to take care of the elderly folks in their community by giving them food hampers, etc. Kids in one selected community are also treated to food and toys, among other essential items.
Last Christmas was really, really, really wonderful. We went out into Puerto Pepper City. These are kids that at Pepper City, these are kids that want a better life. These are kids that they hadn't asked for, they didn't choose what they're going through. Some of these kids, their parents, they're single parent. They come from a single parent background. Some of them, their father in prison and all sort of things. Some of them doesn't have any parents. Some of them would have 1 meal per day. So what we did last Christmas was to prepare hot meals, load up the vehicle with clothing, footwear, toys, everything that we got, and we just went down there and just share. And it was really, really, they were so happy.
This year, the foundation is hoping to extend this Christmas cheer to more communities on the West Coast.
This year, we want to go the extra mile, and we want to touch more than one community on the west side. We're planning to have, we had planned on the 19th of December to go out and feed more communities, children, elderly, providing hamper, hot meal, clothing, toys, book, and etc. for the 19th of December.
However, the foundation is appealing for your help in making this event a success and ensuring the children and elderly have something positive and cheerful to look forward to during this festive season.
To come on board with us in helping us, we cannot reach them on our own and provide everything, but with the help of the public, everyone, we can make that possible by simply donating a few clothing, a few food stuff, a book, Pampers. We're having a few bedridden person that is in need of Pampers, and also wheelchair, those kind of things. We're appealing to the public.
If you would like to donate and be a part of this Giving Back to the Holiday Drive, you can contact Mrs. Janita Brandon on 680-4175 or WhatsApp 612-1616. For Headline News Update, Bibi Bacchus. Don't go away after the break. Nicaragua election, political repression, poverty drives farmers to Costa Rica, and Europe could suffer 500,000 more virus deaths by February, World Health Organization experts. But before that, here's the bridge retraction schedule.
Smart Minds Educational Institute, offering preschool, nursery, and primary levels. Finally, a school that is every parent's dream. Located at 69 Crow Street, offering academic excellence, trained qualified teachers, small class sizes, personalized care, and one-to-one attention for your little ones. At Smart Minds, register for full-time or evening classes, daily practice pass exam papers for proficiency at the grade 2, 4, and 6 assessment, and CXE exam preparedness. Or join our Becca Phonics reading and writing program. So if your child is for preschool, nursery, or primary level, come to Smart Mind, located at 69 Street, or call 231-4885 or 600-9229 to enroll now.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop price smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Kingdom-based taxi service, transportation for every occasion. Short drop, airport, weddings, funerals, and much more. We're located at Lot H. Durbin and Vicingen Road, next to Green City Bar. For honest, efficient, and reliable service, call Kingdom-based taxi service at 648-5959 or 227-7937. You can count on us.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. In South America, the International Criminal Court will investigate whether crimes against humanity were committed during Venezuela's crackdown on anti-government protests in 2017. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro says the state respects the decision to investigate but does not share it. More than 100 people died during the clampdown on protesters. The demonstration started after the Supreme Court decided to dissolve the opposition-dominated National Assembly. Both Venezuela's opposition and its government have urged the ICC agency to investigate alleged crimes carried out by their opponents. Meanwhile, in Central America, tens of thousands of Nicaraguans are crossing into neighboring Costa Rica to escape poverty and what they say is political repression. They had hoped upcoming elections on Sunday would bring a more democratic government, but the EU's foreign policy chief has already decried the elections, calling them fake. Al Jazeera's Lucia Norman reports.
This rural region in Costa Rica near the border with Nicaragua is today home to 70 Nicaraguan farmers who had to flee their own land. They were lucky to be able to rent this farm to raise and sell pigs in order to feed their families. They're among the thousands of poor Nicaraguan farmers who began protesting in 2013 against President Daniel Ortega's plan to expropriate their land and build a multi-billion-dollar transatlantic canal. By doing so, they became enemies of the state, along with tens of thousands of other Nicaraguans who've crossed into Costa Rica in the last 3 years to escape reprisals for taking part in anti-government protests.
Nicaraguans are emigrating as never before because the repression is continuing, and so does the migration to Costa Rica, Spain, the United States. People can't live with the psychosis, the fear that they'll be imprisoned, beaten, and tortured. And then there's the economic situation.
Record numbers of Nicaraguans are leaving their country, the second poorest in the Americas after Haiti. Since President Daniel Ortega launched a new crackdown against opponents earlier this year, the number of Nicaraguans attempting to reach the United States has more than quadrupled, according to the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. But the vast majority come here to Costa Rica to work in the fields, like the Cáceres family. They too say they had to abandon their farm in Nicaragua because they protested against Ortega's plans to take their land. Now they're struggling to afford rent and food, so 2 of their 4 children are helping them pick coffee.
Even though we were poor in Nicaragua, we were in our country. But the fear that they'll suddenly come and kill you while you're working or walking down the road is too heavy, because that's what they're doing.
It's hard work when the beans are still green, and even with the whole family working all day from 6 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon, they'll be lucky if they make about $8 today. Yet, as difficult as it is for people who work here in the countryside to make a living, it's much more difficult for the Nicaraguan exiles and economic migrants who go to the capital. The La Carpio neighborhood in San Jose is where many of the more than 130,000 Nicaraguans who've asked for refugee status are living. The majority in overcrowded dwellings they can't afford. Unemployment is soaring in Costa Rica, and the Nicaraguan migrants who work in construction or as housemaids are the first casualties.
I used to work as a maid, but since the pandemic, they don't give us work because they say they don't want anyone in their homes. And they also ask for documents.
With their main opponents now in prison, Ortega should easily win Sunday's presidential elections. And that, say these migrants, will likely only increase the exodus from their trouble-torn country. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Alajuela, Costa Rica.
Internationally, a United Nations report suggests 75% of all emerging infectious diseases are zoonotic, which means illnesses jump from animals to humans. Most of them come from the tropics, where meat from wild animals is widely consumed. Al Jazeera's Nicholas Hay reports.
Inside a wet market in Liberia's capital, Monrovia, a father is searching for his daughter's killer. 5 years ago, during the Ebola outbreak in West Africa, his 4-year-old daughter died of the disease. A virus he believes is dormant in our midst. Here, fresh bushmeat is sold from bats, raccoons, elephants, and apes, evidence for Prince Wallace that Ebola may resurface.
There are fears that Ebola may reoccur, so some are not eating bushmeat, but many others are not taking it seriously, and they keep consuming it. You can see how much bushmeat is being sold in the market.
More than 11,000 people in West Africa died during the Ebola outbreak. Most of the deaths were in Liberia. Scientists do not know for sure where the virus came from, but like the SARS-CoV-2 virus, also known as COVID, they believe Ebola is a zoonotic disease, a deadly and highly infectious virus that jumped from animals to humans, perhaps in a wet market like this one. Liberia's Ghanaian forest region is home to a rich and sought-after wildlife, the habitat of endangered species such as the pygmy hippos, western chimps, and pangolins are all considered delicacies in Liberia and China, where they are also consumed. Some of these animals have similarities to humans and act as reservoirs to viruses. The lack of animal rights or environmental laws have attracted both poachers, but also scientists who have used Liberian chimps as guinea pigs. On these islands are hundreds of chimpanzees abandoned by American scientists who have used the animals for biomedical research, infecting them with pathogens such as hepatitis in order to develop vaccines for humans. Now, for Liberian scientists and researchers, this is not only an act of animal cruelty, it's also dangerous. It poses a risk of the spread of zoonotic diseases. At Liberia's Infectious Disease Institute, scientists fear the worst is yet to come. Zoonotic diseases are jumping from animals to humans and then back to animals. In the process, viruses are likely to become more virulent, putting both humans and endangered species at risk.
Look at the climate. Some of these diseases are sprouting up in places that otherwise people may not have been thinking about. And besides our interaction with animals, I really expect that in the future, we're going to have more and more of these zoonotic diseases.
Tasty and sweet is how this seller describes the ape meat sold for only $2. Wallace believes this growing consumption is responsible for the death of his daughter Esther. He's convinced that somewhere in here, lurking is the virus. Who will it kill next, he wonders. Nicholas Honk, Al Jazeera, Monrovia.
And finally, Europe has once again become the epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic. That is the assessment of the World Health Organization. Cases are hitting record levels, especially in Central and Eastern Europe, where vaccination rates are low. Al Jazeera's Jonah Holmes has more.
While many people are out and about as if the COVID-19 threat has passed, the World Health Organization says the wider European region is once more at the pandemic's epicenter. Across 53 countries, including parts of Central Asia, there are 78 million current infections. That's more than the cumulative total of Southeast Asia, the Eastern Mediterranean and all of Africa. And it's a figure rising by 250,000 new infections daily, with 3,600 deaths every day.
According to one reliable projection, if we stay on this trajectory, we could see another 500,000 COVID-19 deaths in Europe and Central Asia by the 1st of February next year.
Why is it happening in a region with generally good access to vaccines? The WHO points to waning immunity among those vaccinated 6 months or more ago, and vaccine hesitancy in countries like Russia, where misinformation on social media has contributed to more than 1,000 virus deaths a day. There's also the relaxation of public health measures. England, for example, where mandatory restrictions were lifted in July, is now responsible for around 1 in 10 of all new infections worldwide. Efforts to distribute booster jabs are being hampered by public apathy. Yet the government is resisting calls from scientists to reintroduce precautions or risk an even more deadly winter. There is a glimmer of good news. The UK has become the first country in the world to license a new treatment for COVID-19. Described as potentially game-changing, the antiviral pill made by US pharmaceutical company Merck has been shown to halve the chances of dying or being hospitalized for those most at risk of severe symptoms of the disease.
This pill interferes with the virus's replication mechanisms, and by interfering with how it reproduces, it makes it make many mistakes. And by making many mistakes, it stops it from being able to reproduce properly. And that's how it works.
But new treatments alone won't be enough to slow the renewed spread of the virus across Europe, among countries, some of whom believed until recently that it was all over. Jonah Hull, Al Jazeera.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. is all for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Updates. Tune in on Monday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.